news, politics, entertainment, and more. Welcome to The Informant. Independent talk, pursuing truth, informing everyone. Now, here is The Informant, Eric Thompson.
Hey, good evening to you, and welcome to The Informant. For those of you on the East Coast, good morning, and it's another day. Welcome. It is the second already, man, and I bet we're going to blow through this month like we did back in March. April 2nd, and this is not going to be a Fool's Day. This is going to be a show where we're going to cover a lot of information. So if it's the first time you're listening, thank you. You can always go to my website at the-informant.com if you'd like to get more information. Find my social media links. And also, you can email me at eric@the-informant.com if you have issues or topics or things you would like to hear discussed, because I'm here to make sure that you're getting as much information as you need to be educated and to be active in the citizenship, being a good, active citizen, because there is a lot of fake news out there, and it's still up to you to make sure that you are equipped. So tonight we're going to cover kind of the wide range of topics. And I spoke about it last night. If you're kind of new to this process or looking into politics since President Trump's been in office, you may say to yourself, man, it seems like there's a lot of like drama. Like every day there's like 20 stories going on simultaneously. How in the world do they keep all that organized? And how could a president even function? Try to be the executive when you're dealing with conflicts overseas, when you're dealing with a crazy progressive Democratic Party running the House. It's just, let's get rid of, in the Senate today, the Democrats who are not the majority. Yeah, let's get rid of the Electoral College. Yeah, constitutional amendment, we know, but it's impossible. And then you go back over to the House. Yeah, well, AG Barr was cool, but now he's not cool anymore. So it's not like we can really trust him. And Mueller, but I don't know what happened to him. And Comey's out there. Well, the president tried to blow up the Department of Justice and the FBI, but Comey's the one that actually signed off on the first FISA warrant application when he knew that it was uncorroborated, a lie. Then he told President Trump, I just want to let you know that there's like this story going around. It's not corroborated, as he's signing the FISA warrant. You know what I mean? So you have all this. So we're going to cover Joe Biden. Poor Joe has two more women that have come out now saying that he was a little too touchy. So we're going to cover that. And then we're going to get into the border is kind of boiling over the issue because we're getting closer to President Trump possibly shutting down the border. He's tweeting a lot, saying that Mexico is now turning up the activity and arresting people, but they're pouring in the country. So we're going to go over, with the Secretary Nielsen talking about how that the Democrats just flat out are unaware. Because they're either intentionally stupid, so they know, but they don't want to know for sure, or they're just not going to know. So they're intentionally just, well, you know what? Emotionally, well, these are poor, fleeing people. But the reality is they're not. And so it's boiling. It's getting closer. We talked about it the last couple of times, but there's more feedback coming as we're getting closer to a possible shutdown. I didn't realize that President Trump had stopped loans. There was actually FHA loans that were being written with the government guaranteeing the loans for illegal aliens. He stopped that. If we get to it, the Pope is against what President Trump's doing, but then there's a bishop saying that the Pope is misusing the Bible to try to justify his position. So that's an interesting juxtaposition up there in the Vatican. And then if we get to it, we'll get to AOC. She's the gift that just keeps on giving. So let's start over here with Joe Biden. Now, like I said last night, and we are going to be kind of revisiting a few things, but hey, it's the top story. Now, tomorrow I'm going to go over all the different abortion bills that are going through, like South Carolina and Atlanta, and all the stuff that's going on. So we are going to get to some more conspiracy stuff later this week, but the breaking story is a couple more women have come out against Joe Biden. So there's an article here from the New York Times. Biden's tactical politics threaten his return in the Me Too era. And I think as we go through this, you're going to be seeing that they're kind of going, Joe Biden, just like Whoopi said when she defended him, well, we kind of want him smelling girls' hair coming up behind him and kissing them and rubbing their noses. We want Joe. But like I talked about last night, well then what happened to all the Me Too women? What happened to Blasey Ford that was supposed to be believed? Of course Kavanaugh did that. There's no way that she would make up that he accosted her. That's impossible. So Me Too, Me Too, Me Too. Well, Biden's interesting because the Democrats, even though tonight they elected their first, and I don't care who somebody sleeps with in a secular sense. Don't come to me and ask for me to endorse it from a Christian worldview. But Chicago decided that they needed a black woman, so you needed a minority, a woman because gender is important, and they had to be a homosexual. So you have a social justice warrior, homosexual activist who now is going to try to fix Chicago. Hold on to there. But, man, people just, they can't just, how about the basics? How about like everybody, because when I grew up in the Midwest, we had our own house, we had our house and land, and the way the neighborhood worked is if my parents made sure that me and my brothers and sisters were not causing problems, and that we kept our yard nice, not perfect, and we didn't cause any problems. If everybody did that in the neighborhood, it seemed to work out pretty good. We didn't get carried away on, well, hi, my name's your neighbor, and I'm a transgender, binary, non-binary black person. It's like, so? We'd be like, and what are you gonna have a good family and keep your property decent and not cause any problems? Then go on with your bad self. But no, everybody, because I mean, think about it. You look at these articles. They couldn't just say, okay, I can go with a first black mayor elected for Chicago. Okay, if they want to push the race thing. But no, we have to go race, gender, and sexual orientation. Well, Biden, it says here that because of the way Biden acts and has acted, that it could threaten his return to try to run for president in this Me Too era. This is a picture of Vice President Joseph Biden Jr. during a campaign stop in Seaman, Ohio in 2012. He pulls the bikers, this woman, onto his lap. And the other two bikers sitting down at the table are looking at him like, what are you doing? It says here, Joseph Biden Jr. came up in politics as an old school backslapper whose greatest strength was his ability to connect. He doled out handshakes and hugs to friends and strangers alike, and his tendency to lavish his affections on women and girls was so central to his persona that it became fodder for late night television jokes. So this, nothing new. But back then, it wasn't forbidden. But the political ground has shifted under Mr. Biden, and his tactical style of retail politicking is no longer a laughable matter in the era of the hashtag #MeToo movement. Now, as he considers a run for president, Mr. Biden is struggling to prevent a strength from turning into a crippling liability. On Tuesday alone, today, 2 more women, I think that puts us up to at least 4, told the New York Times that the former vice president touches made them uncomfortable. And as we spoke about this last night, Pelosi said these are not disqualifying things, and Whoopi and all them on The View were saying this is what Biden does, so we need him. So far, the accusations are Biden was touchy, holding their hands, rubbing noses, massaging. And one of the things that popped out to me was 76-year-old white man in a Democratic Party that's pushing white privilege and toxic masculinity. So who's pushing these? Where are these women coming from all of a sudden? In a pack almost, like 4 of them within a couple days, and there's more to come. I believe it's the Democratic Party. I think the Republicans have plenty of dirt on Biden, but I don't think the far left, the power brokers, want a old white man representing their new Democratic Socialist Party. It says for Mr. Biden, 76, the risks are obvious. The accusations feed into a narrative that he is a relic of the past, unsuited to represent his party in a modern era, against an incumbent president whose treatment of women should be a central line of attack. Mr. Biden has denied acting inappropriately, but said he will listen respectfully. So here, let's see. Who are the other ones? Let's see. A couple more. Mr. Biden is already facing questions about whether this is a time for an older white man to carry his party's banner. I told you that. His handling of the 1991 confirmation hearings, they thought that he wasn't empathetic enough towards Anita Hill, who was accusing Clarence Thomas. So let's see. A list of women coming forward is growing. Catalin Caruso, a former college student and sexual assault survivor, said Mr. Biden rested his hand on her thigh even as she squirmed in her seat to show her discomfort. So we're coming up on the station break. You're listening to The Informant here on Spreaker and on my website, the-informant.com, and over on magabook.com. Please go over there. It's my social media site, magabook.com. But thanks again for listening to The Informant. And I might have some news, breaking news coming here pretty soon. I might be getting on a bigger platform, but we shall see how the cards fall. So back to Biden. So Catalin Caruso said that former Vice President Biden rested his hand on her thigh even as she squirmed in her seat to show her discomfort and hugged her just a little too long. At an event on sexual assault at the University of Nevada in Las Vegas, she was 19. Caruso said now 22. She chalked up the encounter at the time to how men act and did not say anything publicly. But now is the time to do it. Let's see. Because she had shared her own story of sexual assault and expected Mr. Biden, who was the architect of the 1994 Violence Against Women Act, to understand. DJ Hill, 59, a writer who recalled meeting Biden in 2012 at a fundraiser event in Minneapolis, said that when she and her husband, Robert, stepped up to take their photograph with the vice president, he put his hand on her shoulder and started dropping it down her back, which made her very uncomfortable. There's an Aaron Bilbray, former Democratic congressional candidate from Nevada, who also said that hugged and kissed me on my head. And there's other ones. So what do you guys think? Do you think Biden, I said last night, I don't think Biden can do it. I think he's not going to do it. I think as more and more women come out, he's going to say, I looked into it, and I'm just not up to it. And I think that would make a lot of the people on the left happy. I'm actually pretty relieved because until all of this, I think he and Beto, which is not his name, but that's what he goes by,